Well, welcome back to the Square. I am your host, Curtis the Fifth.
And I'm Curtis the Fourth.
As you can probably hear, I am in a very elated mood. This show, we are going to basically run through Chicago's early draft success. It's a home run for them.
Absolutely. Draft's over for Chicago. I mean, we have addressed everything we needed to address really in the first two rounds. The rest is
100%.
just formality at this point.
Let's go get some projects in the 5th, 6th, 7th round and call it a day. We're ready to go. I'm ready for it to be September.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm ready for the season. Let's just dive right into it because there's no reason to kind of play around it. We did hold off on talking about this until later in the day, so we've seen all of the kind of shit talking from ESPN and all that stuff.
The love.
Yeah. Nobody wants to give Chicago credit for actually doing the right thing this year.
Not at all.
But man, trade up from pick 20 in the first round all the way up to pick 11 to go get what I feel is the second best quarterback in this draft in Justin Fields.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe it.
I don't think anybody can. Anybody that's even remotely a Bears fan or even remotely followed the Bears at any time in their recent history, probably in the last 30 years, obviously didn't see not an aggressive approach like this. And
No.
I mean, not only did they do it in the first round, they did it again in the second round as an encore. And I'm like,
we'll get to that one.
I'm just as a synopsis. I'm not going there, but I'm just well done, Ryan Pace. Well done. I
give
you.
credit to Matt Nagy for the first pick for Justin Fields, and I give credit for Ryan Pace for the second pick, and we'll get into that in a bit. But
go ahead.
I want to start with Justin Fields because last night we're sitting at 20, and we get to the point where the craziness happens, and we will have a full kind of overarching look at the draft next week with our recording session on Tuesday. So we'll get into that information and what's happening up at the top of the draft with Cincinnati's and in Miami and all these guys.
Mm-hmm.
But once those picks started happening and Atlanta didn't go quarterback, then Cincinnati went left field. They went, no, I guess not left field. They went with the choice that I don't think that they should have went with. Miami goes with their guy, and then boom, we hit. And then we had Detroit as well. That they ended up picking
Everybody
up.
wanted the shiny bells and whistles,
Yep.
and and all of a sudden, man, you talk about my eyes was getting big, pick by pick, and you seen us round when we got around to that 8th pick. I said, okay, for the third time, and the draft begins now.
Because we're sitting on the couch there, and pick 8 comes up, and we both get up. Knees got our elbows on our knees just watching what is Carolina about to do,
right?
And they ended up they went corner. They get J.C. Horn, which I thought was very early. I did not have him as my highest ranked corner in the draft, but he ends up going there. Cool, you got your guy. I'm happy with it, and we're both looking at Denver like, damn. They're about to get him. They're about to take Justin Fields right here with the ninth pick.
I was a red carpet treatment. I mean, nicely
they rolled it right out there for him.
I mean, man, it was just right there for the taking.
But we did have some optimism because of what happened earlier in the day. They trade for Teddy Bridgewater. So like, well, do they? Do they do it? Do they not?
Right.
But we both came to consensus. Denver's going to be the team to take them. Like it's written in stone. We had done it in our mock draft the night before. We were just like it just makes too much sense. They're still going to go quarterback.
In fairness, the Teddy Bridgewater thing happened while we were recording. By the way,
and I did put that disclaimer. Basically, we saw the tweet literally like 30 minutes after we finished recording. We saw it go get sent out. So, but at the end of the day. Even with that, I still felt it like in my soul, like damn, Justin Fields is going. Like, and I just it's just our luck that Justin Fields goes there, and because all the other picks that I feel like Chicago is just a farm system for Denver. Like all of our guys end up just going there for some reason. I don't know what it is. I know like recently it's been Vic Fangio.
I think they share the same color scheme. I don't know. But
it's ridiculous. They're so connected. Them and Oakland. It just doesn't make sense to me. But that's neither here nor there. But I'm feeling like he's going there. And the second that they end up taking Patrick Surtain, it just like right there. We both were like, all right, Chicago, like
Get
you
on
now
the
have that
phone.
window is open
Get
to
on the
anywhere in
phone.
these next 5 picks. Get in there before New England does, and go get this guy.
Or Washington for that matter. You
True.
know.
Well, I was just saying you got to get
Right.
anywhere from 10 to 15 or 10 to 14 because you know if it falls to New England, New England's
Oh
taking a
no,
guy.
I meant they need to get on the phone before Washington got on the phone
Yeah.
and just beat them to the punch. Because I'm surprised there wasn't more teams clamoring to try to grab this guy all of a sudden.
Well,
But
there's only 3 teams that needed quarterbacks. And
nah, if I'm just kind of like, I like this guy, he's okay.
yeah.
Hey, did we look at this guy? Have we taken a good look at this person? Because I mean, man, really, we could go a whole different direction today. But that was the beauty and the magic of the first round and of the first third of the first, the first 1/3 of the first round, really. And it was just you talk about it heated up by pick 8, because from pick 8 to basically 20 was just a blur.
Yeah.
It just went so fast, even though it didn't go that fast. But
it felt like it was just an instant to me. But yeah, it's just I couldn't believe it. And so the trade happens at pick 10. You got Philadelphia jumping up to get their guy with Devontae Smith. And I walked away for a second. I can't come back in, and New York's on the clock already. And I'm just like, man, I don't know what's about to happen. I was saying I don't know if Chicago's going to be aggressive enough to give up what they need to get all the way up to jump up 9 picks basically.
Right.
And then as that's coming out of my mouth, the screen changes. And you have it go from the New York Jets, it comes right back, trade with the Chicago Bears, and I was like, oh, and just right then we were like, we got our quarterback.
We already know who
I was like, oh, we already got Justin Fields, and then it just hits me that Mac Jones is still available at that time. And I'm like, this is just my luck. They're gonna do the wrong thing again. They're gonna mess it up. It's just the Chicago thing to do. It's just the Ryan Pace thing to do. Go get the wrong freaking guy sitting right there. Go get his white knight sitting there and Mac Jones. And I was scared. But then this is exactly why I said this is why I give credit to this pick to Matt Nagy specifically, because I think he was the one who said, no, I can do it with Justin Fields.
Yeah, I don't know what he told Ryan Pace, but I'm glad Ryan Pace listened.
Yeah.
And so they went and got, I guess we could say we went and got their guy. I know this is kind of a quasi backdoor, side door way that Chicago had to come by way of getting their quarterback, and we got him. And big picture, we got him. But if you listen, if you're watching, man, if you're watching, anything in the media right now, the media has not caught up to the craze of what actually has happened. I'm give it a couple more days, but yeah, it's really weird because I'm like, man, am I jumping the gun by saying we actually have a franchise quarterback? Because I mean, if you just hear some of the talk today, it's just kind of like, it's still kind of like it's 50-50. We don't know what we're doing. I'm like, what in the world is going on?
What I really don't like about listening to these mainstream media shows, whether it's ESPN, NBC, whoever, I don't care who it is, Fox, like all these guys. What I don't like about it is that we have all last year, we're saying, oh, they've got such a great team. They've got all these guys. They got all this wonderful talent in so many different positions. This, that, the other. All they need is a quarterback to figure it out and put it all together. So we go get the freaking quarterback, and now, oh, I feel so bad for Justin Fields in the situation now that he's drafted in. They can never figure it out. It's Chicago. They did, we do the right thing, and you still give a shit for it. What is this?
I like, come on now, people. At least give us 8 weeks. You can give us something. Damn. I'm like,
give me a
damned
day.
if we do,
give me
damned if we don't.
Like,
we make the biggest splash in the first round, and it's kind of. I mean, even the draftathon yesterday, that came seconds after the pick. As the pick was going, it's just like, or as they were about to announce it, and then they just shifted off to the next pick so fast. Like, what in the.
They didn't give it a second thought.
I mean, man, no love. I mean, Chicago got no love last night. But with that being said, we got who we needed. We got our guy. That guy, as I was saying yesterday, we have. I believe we have our franchise quarterback. If
100%.
Nothing else, we got our franchise quarterback for the next several years. We're gonna see what we got. I think the ceiling is as high as wherever we want it to go. People talk about his floor, whatever. This, this
His
was a
floor is a
game.
starter.
This was a game changer,
Yeah.
because they said they were trying to make a splash, or they were trying to do something, in the draft. We're gonna, just hold on. We're working on it. We heard all that before. But truth be told, after the finished product of what happened in the first round, they did exactly what they said they were gonna do.
Mm-hmm.
Not something we used to as a Bears fan, but hell, when give credit when credit is due, and this is it.
Yeah.
I'm like, it don't get much bigger than this. Once you bomb, we bombed on the Russell Wilson sweepstakes. I mean, not that anybody didn't know. I'm just saying bombing, meaning we weren't able to close the deal.
Yeah.
For whatever, probably would have cost everything to get him.
Which I
And-
wouldn't have been mad at. I mean, I would give up everything for Russell
Right,
Wilson. I don't care.
But with that being said, I mean, Seattle wasn't really playing ball anyway,
Yeah.
and so that's the other thing. But since that fell apart, we quickly go and get the first available, or the best opted free agent quarterback, which was fine. I mean, I know we're questioning the money, and we're questioning based on what we were going after versus what we ended up with, and it just didn't look good. It don't sit well, and it shouldn't sit well with anybody, any team for that matter. With that type of, you had to go from one level of talent to this level of talent.
And it would be one thing if the Andy Dalton signing happened and they just left it at that, and they just said, hey guys, we're still working on it, we're looking at other things, we just wanted to secure something at the position for now. And if they would have said that, that would have been one thing. But then you come out, Ryan Pace, and you're sitting in that press conference with that smug ass slick hair, and you just go and say he's our QB1. And that's kind of what pissed me off, and that's what turned me off as a Bears fan, because I'm just sitting here looking at you, and you're straight up just lying to my face. Like,
mm-hmm.
I know that Andy Dalton, yes, he is an upgrade over Mitch Trubisky. Almost anything is. I'm sorry, like, and it is not. It's not really a shot at Mitch Trubisky. It's just like you're not worth trading up to the second pick to go get. Like,
right.
and I just and I have that consensus. I've said that time and time again. You weren't worth trading up. And that is Chicago's fault. That is the organization's fault for making those expectations so high. And all of these draft experts, air quotes there, because all of them had Mitch Trubisky at the top of their big boards. If you go back to the 2017 draft boards, pre-draft, you'll see a lot of people had Mitch Trubisky as the number one quarterback back then, and it was consensus. It was like across the board. I think only like one or two people had the sense to say it was Deshaun Watson at the time, and nobody had Pat Mahomes anywhere near the top
right.
with the quarterbacks. That was strictly a Kansas City thing.
Yep.
So that's just one thing, and it is in the way that he came out and just came and was saying that Andy Dalton was the number one guy and he's our QB1. It just really was getting on my nerves, because I'm like, dude, really? Like, this is the big splash that you're talking about. This is the home run that you were talking about. I know it's not. I know you struck out with Russell Wilson. Just say it. It didn't work out. We had to go get the next guy.
Right.
And we can leave it at that, or just say we're still working on something. Let's see what we can do in the draft for now. Whatever you want to say, but don't just lie to my face and say that he's the QB1. That's one thing that I had an issue with. But back to Justin Fields.
Mm-hmm.
We have him. Great pick. We got our quarterback. I'm still not over it. I still don't know if it's real or not. This still could be a dream to me. But the other thing that I have an issue with, the way that this has been covered, is everybody's talking about how much we gave up to go get Justin Fields. I feel like we jumped up 9 spots in the very first round of the NFL draft, where there is 2 highly touted QB prospects available. That should cost a ton to move up that far. I know we're outside of the top 10 and what have you, but the prospects that are there are very, very valuable. So we give up a first round in 2022, a 4th round in 2022, and a 5th round in 2021. And we swap. Then they get our first round. This is where we swapped the picks.
Swap first.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I'm okay taking 2 first-round picks to go get the second best guy in this draft, who coming into outside of the NCAA season, he was 1A, 1B with Trevor Lawrence.
Exactly. And what exactly were we going to end up paying when it was all said and done for like a Russell Wilson?
Yeah.
I'll take it. A cheaper version, arguably a cheaper version of a Russell Wilson, Deshaun Watson type anyway. So like I said, as I was kidding, kind of messing around yesterday watching it while we were sitting on the couch, and I was like, man, we. Dude, we sitting here with Russell Watson over here.
Yeah. Yeah. Deshaun Wilson.
Deshaun Wilson, I'm like, I think we on to something here, and call it. I can care less if mainstream even catches up to this. Because at this point I'm like, let's go mini camps, let's go OTAs, let's just get started. Let's go to work. Let's go to work.
I want week 1 now.
I'm ready to show. You know what? I'll take what we got against the field at this point, because I'm like, you say what you want to say, naysayers. I'm gonna go with this guy, because bottom line is, he's, once again, if I don't say nothing else, no one really likes what Ryan Pace did in this offseason collectively. Yeah. However, I think it's fair to say everything he has done from the first move to the last draft pick has just been upgraded moves all the way through. It just, everything he's done, he's built off of it. It's been some bad stuff, but it's getting a little bit better each time. But this is a lot better. Yeah. And
the only thing that I didn't like is that we had to let go of Kyle Fuller, and I talked about that before. I really like Kyle Fuller. I think that he's a fantastic corner. I think he's a solid number 1 guy to go against man-to-man against your best guy. Obviously, we have to go against Davante Adams twice a year, so he gets burned a little bit on him, but freaking Davante Adams.
Right.
He burns everybody. So that's one thing. But we do have Jalen Johnson still, that the rookie, and he was a rookie. He's going into a second season now. I do really like him. I think our defense it's our front seven still fantastic. Still one of the top 5 front sevens in the NFL. DBs a little bit more lackluster, but when you're getting after the quarterback, when you're hitting that dude, we're gonna be just fine there. I'm not too worried about it. And then we still have Eddie Jackson as a DB, so again, not too worried about it. And then on the offensive side, we needed to do specifically get a quarterback, fix the offensive line. 1-2, did it. And granted, we still have some guys on the interior that we need to upgrade and get that stuff figured out. We did get rid of Bobby Massey, and now we've just replaced him with Tevin Jenkins as well. So that's a huge upgrade there. I really like that move. And I know Charles Leno, he's on the last year of his contract on the left side. I haven't been completely thrilled with the way that he's played over the last few years anyway. So we can go and fix that offensive line through the draft, through free agency, and just getting these guys off the market. We can figure that out. We've got our guy, though. My philosophy for building an NFL team: get your quarterback, protect yours. It's get a quarterback, protect yours, and go after theirs. We already have go after theirs and get a quarterback. We just need a part 2 in protecting ours now. And I feel like we already have a solid team that is playoff. I think we're going to be in the playoffs every year, dependent on how we develop Justin Fields. And he's a starting QB in the NFL for sure. It's just a matter of how quickly we can get him up to speed and ready for the NFL action. Once he starts there, and once we get him there, he's out there on the field. I think every single game, every single rep, he's just going to be getting better and better and better, because he is very smart. He is very intelligent. He knows how to read defenses. He's not like Mitch Trubisky, where he's scared to make that decision, scared to make that throw. He'll make his read. He'll get the ball out. Plus, you got Matt Nagy with his way of calling up plays. I'd like to see how he can use Justin Fields in his offense and actually use a guy that is mobile, who actually can throw the freaking ball.
Right.
So with all of that being said, I think Chicago is set up for light years, especially because the division now looks like Aaron Rodgers might not even be there anymore. That's the other thing. Oh, man. The competition's about to get, hopefully is about to get way easier.
That's yesterday was like Christmas. You woke up like, what's going on? Like, what in the world did I wake up to? Like, Aaron Rodgers has said what, and he's doing what? And I mean, the man. I mean, let's look at this for what it is. Because I mean, because at first on just on face value, when I first heard this information, first thing came to my mind was like, hey, he's doing the Russell Wilson. He's just over here like, oh, I just want out of here. And then, but as I woke up, and it took me only a couple minutes, I started thinking like, wait a minute. This man ain't uttered a mumbling word outside of the grumblings. We already, he showed his displeasure from last year's draft, blah, blah, blah. He played through it. He even spitefully won the MVP to show you up.
Dude's ridiculous.
And then he waits draft day.
I think that was calculated.
Exactly. That's where I was going with that. You don't say nothing until the day of the draft and be like, yeah, I'm just gonna leak this to somebody in the organization, and which is funny how they keeping it how they trying to keep it confidential as to who he talked to. Like, come on, like it didn't matter who it is because he was gonna make sure he talked to somebody that was gonna talk to somebody else to make sure this came out. He didn't talk just for, hey, by the way, I'm just saying, you here, got some stuff on my mind. I just wanted to share this with you. Keep this between us. That did not happen. I'm sharing this.
He went on the record.
I'm sharing this. Probably put his hand on his shoulder, gave him a wink, or gave him the look. Do what you got to go do, bro. This is some information. This is where I'm at. You do what you got to go do. I'm going to go do what I got to go do. And that was the end of it. And before you know it, we waking up on draft day talking about Aaron Rodgers,
doesn't want to be
don't
back.
want to be back. Then it goes further.
Doesn't plan to be back.
Doesn't plan to be back. Then almost by the close of the draft, hey, some people he's not even coming back. Like, okay, it all sounds great to me, but I mean, but nothing has confirmed any of it outside he's disgruntled. Well, he's been disgruntled for the last year, so I'm like, that's nothing new.
Last 3 years, he's been pissed. Right. Ever since that last year with Mike McCarthy, he has been very frustrated because this is the thing that I think kind of put it over the top for me is that it wasn't just the fact that they drafted a successor. It wasn't just the fact that they didn't even come to him and tell him that they were going to. Mm-hmm. It's not just the fact that they haven't picked an offensive weapon in the first round in over 10 years. It's not just the fact that the first offensive guy that they go after is his successor in 10 years. So, like, it's not just all of that. Even when it was with Mike McCarthy and they had issues with him, mm-hmm. and he couldn't get along with him anymore. He couldn't make it work with him anymore. Once they fired him, he went to the front office and told them, hey, this is what I want. Like, this is what I'm thinking. Mm-hmm. Like, I know you guys don't have to do what I say, and I'm not trying to overstep my bounds here or anything like that. But, hey, this is what I'm seeing out there. Like, this is what I think would really help us get us over that hump, get us past that NFC championship. And they just basically were like, yeah, bro, go play football. Like, waved him off.
Right.
And it all started there. It's just a lack of respect for and to me, I'm a Bears fan. I have so much respect for Aaron Rodgers. This dude's going to be a Hall of Famer. And even with just that one championship, he is a Hall of Fame quarterback.
Yeah.
Like, bar none. And I won't have any issues with him being a first ballot Hall of Famer.
You don't have to win titles to be in the Hall of Fame,
So at the end of the day, I'm looking at it like this dude. The fact that, and this is funny because Chicago finally has done something in a better fashion, in a more respectable fashion than the Green Bay organization has, because they did the thing that Green Bay was supposed to do last year when they went to go draft Jordan Love. Mm-hmm. Instead of just doing it behind his back, not giving him any fair warning, they actually sat down with Andy Dalton and said, hey, we gave you this contract. You're our QB1. We want to start you this season. But we are drafting our future. We're going after Justin Fields. We're going to go make this move.
Right.
Don't worry about it. You still are going to be what we're planning on putting you out there day one.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to have your shot. But hey, we got to do what we got to do what's best for the team. And he said respectfully, cool. Go do, like, I'm only on a 1-year deal. Go do what you got to go do.
Right.
And Aaron Rodgers, you don't think he's going to be this class personified dude that's just going to be like, hey, I understand it. Like, I get it. I'm 38, however old he is now, 36, 37. But I get it. Go do what you got to go do. Like, just give me that fair warning. Don't let me go out and be on TV and then get shocked in the middle of the draft seeing that you guys pick somebody that you guys didn't even give me fair warning about.
Right.
making me look dumb on TV. Like, come on. Like, what are we doing here?
Right.
What this organization, like, this organization has had, they have been drunk with riches for way too long, and they have this weird power complex, I feel.
Say more.
I mean, you went from back-to-back Hall of Fame quarterbacks. You went from Brett Favre for however long to having Aaron Rodgers for so freaking long. Like, come on, like, how does that happen? And you've had this success for so long, just completely crapping on this division like it's nothing. Time in, time out, always in the freaking in the playoffs, always upsetting somebody within the division in the playoffs. Like, you've been doing this over and over again, and you just got used to it. And the more you settled into it, the easier you felt you could do whatever you wanted. But as an organization, and it's also a kind of a proponent to them not having an owner. They don't have anybody who's kind of helming the ship over there. Like, they just don't have any clear direction, and you got Brian Gutekunst over there making all the decisions, and this is what he's been doing for the last 4 years. Nothing. And they keep getting the NFC Championship game and keep getting beat.
Well, unfortunately, you preaching to an audience that I don't care. I mean, I hear you. I know this for the podcast.
I mean, this is really mainly about just the division as a whole. Like,
right.
and this is going to allow Chicago, with arguably the highest potential quarterback as it stands. I think so. Come on. If Aaron Rodgers is gone, it's Justin Fields.
No. I mean, there's still a few. Not to put the cart before the horse. We still. I mean, we don't know exactly just
like
yet.
I said, potential.
Right. I was gonna say, we don't know whether or not they're gonna which model they're gonna go with in this next year. Are they gonna just let the man sit and learn, or they're gonna actually eventually put him out there mid-season, or just let him, or he's gonna be the flat out starter right from the beginning? Because I call that the Russell Wilson model, or we can do the Patrick Mahomes model, or we can do the Bears model, where it's just at first signs this guy's gonna be called up. It could be week 4. I hopefully they don't go that one. I don't want the middle of the road one at all.
Even with that one, I'm okay with, because if you're not ready day one, you're not ready day one, and I don't want you to go out there and shoot your confidence. Like, if you're not ready to go out there week 1, don't go out there week 1. Like, right. I'm okay with that. And I know, again, this is what I was saying. There's gonna be a learning curve for him. That's the only thing with Justin Fields to me is that he's got all this talent. Now we just gotta translate it to the NFL game. How long is it gonna take for him to get to there?
Right.
And so that's where I'm at with it. Where I'm just like, okay, if it's not week 1, Andy Dalton, let's go. Go out there, do what you got to do, and just give however much time Justin Fields needs. However much time we hit week 6 and he's ready to go. Let's go beat up on Detroit in week 6. I don't care. Like, let's do it. Like, I don't care. Like, go put him in. I'm gonna be excited to see him at whatever point. Like for me, like, it doesn't matter. Just do the right thing. Don't put him out there if he's not ready.
Right.
So and don't hold him off on the field if he is ready. Like, that's where I'm at. Just like, I don't care if you do the Bear, I guess the quote unquote Bears thing, where you kind of split time and maybe half the season, because that would be the Deshaun Watson model. If you remember, they went out there with Tom freaking Savage at the beginning of that season, and you had DeAndre Hopkins.
Was that for the first week though?
No, it's for like the first 3 or 4 weeks.
I don't know.
Deshaun Watson didn't play until
maybe 2 weeks. I don't remember playing.
I think because I think when Tom Savage went down, it might have been week 3. Tom Savage went down with that concussion or whatever, and then they put Deshaun Watson in.
Okay.
So that would be a fine model for me to see. Like, I wouldn't have any issues with that.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'm just being a little more overprotective, only because I really want them to protect his asset. I guess I'm reserved to. I'm cool if he sits for 1 year, only because
and I'm cool with that too.
Because they secured him. I'm good. I don't really care what the Bears do next year. Now that they secured this guy, like, that's cool. I'm looking big picture. Whatever keeps this guy around for the longest amount of years. Meaning, if he has to sit the first year, again, I'm good with the Patrick Mahomes model.
Yeah.
That's the reason. Which
Like,
I don't have a problem with. With that being said, I'll see you in week 17. But or something week 16, whatever. The last couple games of the season. It's just like you're saying. If he's not ready, please do not throw this guy out because you all feel I have to save my job and I need to put him out here now.
if
That's
he's
the
not
thing.
ready,
I'm
I don't
scared.
feel like that is going to save the job, and that's why I'm like, okay, like if he's not ready, he's not ready. Let's go, Andy Dalton, do your thing. Go earn your next contract.
That's what makes it tricky for decision making from above because we really don't know what the stipulations is going on between how much rope Ryan Pace or Matt Nagy have at this time. We know it's short, but we don't know if it's
timeout because we thought it was short last year. So
yeah, and that's my point. You're like short-ish,
what
we just really don't know. Like it's like one of those retractable leashes. It's just it retracts, it extends, it goes, retracts again. No one knows where it really is, but as long as they're making positive moves and it's not to the detriment of the team, I think their jobs are safe in the meantime.
Yeah.
But yeah, with that just I'm speculating under that context where I know what we're talking about, but that always is looming. Like, well, really, what's really going to influence that decision making? Going forward, for this season, and do they rush this guy, or do they get overly cautious with this guy, or do they even get careless with this? And it's just like, because I listened to some of the negative feedback about the Justin Fields because I needed to hear their point of view. Certain elements there was some shred of truth in there based on history, and I get that, and that's why right now I can't ignore that either. But I'm not gonna go in hard like on some of these guys. They're just completely down on the pick. I'm like, no, not down at all. There's pros and cons to every pick here. I mean, the Trevor Lawrence, there are cons to Trevor Lawrence, people. Even picking him at 1, Therefore, there's going to be pros and cons for every single player that got drafted. Or going to get drafted over this weekend.
Yeah.
With that being said, that's it. Just remains to be seen. Which is why I can't wait to get started because I'm like, okay, we obviously got a quarterback competition. It's 3 guys, but it's a 2-team race.
Yeah,
if you want to say it's a race,
get Nick Foles out of here. Like he needs you to sit there,
right? And I mean,
you sit there and you say, "Hey, this is what happened in Philadelphia this week. This is what I saw on the field that time." And outside of that, you go sit your butt down there on that bench. You're not seeing the light of day. It is Andy Dalton and it is Justin Fields. I do not want to ever see Nick Foles in a Bears uniform again.
Needs to be and should be. I mean, if he's going to be on the active roster, that he should be basically Matt Nagy's right-hand man. Man
he should be
water.
The quasi quarterback coach.
Right. You just had a headset on just like Nagy, had a clipboard just like Nagy.
You don't even dress. You're in your sweats. You're in your warm-ups.
He's like, you're not playing ever again.
No, never. You're not stepping foot to take a snap under center.
He can't even get a playoff. I mean, he can't even get a preseason game.
Nope.
Man, that's rough day, man. It's tough times for Nick Foles. I tell you, tough times. Yes, I am not a Nick Foles apologist. I'm just playing quasi devil's advocate right here.
You know what? I take that back. He can. He's going to be the punching bag for all those defensive players that are trying to get a job. Let him be that guy.
I guess when they let him come out there in his jersey and they're like, "Where's my red shirt?" You get no red shirt. you sir, you're just going out there.
They need live game action.
We need to simulate, real life game speed, all that. So
this
sorry,
is your
Nick
punishment
Foles.
For all that BS last year.
Yeah, exactly. He had his chance. We pretty much everyone, any self-respecting Chicago Bears fan was just we're moving. We moved on ages ago with you, dude. We're moving on. So
once Mitch Trubisky had a better second half of the season than he had that 6-game losing streak that we had in the middle season, I was like, okay, the fact that you made me like Mitch Trubisky for even a shred of a game, you can kick rocks, bud.
That's only a Bears fan would understand that where it's like that's a toxic thing. You think that sounds good, but it's really a bad situation.
It's a horrible situation.
It's really bad. And no disrespect to Mr. Trubisky, man. You did what you could with what you had. We get it. Thank you for your services.
And I will say also, Mitch Trubisky, you were drafted in a horrible situation. But I will say thank you, Mitch Trubisky, because you didn't play so horribly over these last 2 seasons, we wouldn't have the opportunity to go get Justin Fields right now. So I do appreciate you for
that. Thanks a lot, buddy.
that. Thanks you. And hey, good luck to you down in Buffalo, or up in Buffalo for that matter.
I mean, and he's a part of the process of him going on to whatever the new franchise is going to be. He gets to sit for a year. We want to say, okay, if anybody like, well, the Jameis Winston model, so he gets to go.
It's kind of like
and
that,
learn. Yeah,
especially because I forget is it Ryan Daboll up there in Buffalo?
I believe so.
Yeah, whoever it is, the offensive coordinator up there, he whatever he did with Josh Allen, he needs to learn what the heck happened there, because that is literally what Mitch Trubisky needs.
Right.
So that is a perfect situation for him up there.
And there are going to be some jobs opening up next year. Like there's going to be a Pittsburgh job open.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
New England.
Well,
I guess I got Mac Jones.
Jones. Yeah. I don't see New England. I mean, possibly in New Orleans. You just don't know. Mm-hmm. We have no idea what's coming from that. Tennessee. It's what will Tannehill still be lighting it up? Will they be looking to move on to another guy? Question marks for Denver. We just don't know.
Well, and that's we'll get to that at a different time.
Come back to that, but yeah.
But let's move to round 2.
Okay,
let's talk about Tevin Jenkins for a minute here. Man, what a home run of these just 2 back-to-back picks. They just killed it. Because you got another first-round talent at offensive tackle in Tevin Jenkins early in the second round.
Yes, so they move up, I mean, from 20 to 7. In the second.
Somewhere, 6 or 7.
I think you got it right. I think it was 7.
Yeah.
From 20 to 7 in the second round. Basically almost stealing the page out of draft night from last night, and they go out and get the other guy, the guy that needs to protect the guy that they got the night before. So we the Bears put together a nice little combo pack here for the for the draft. We basically, I feel they killed it in the first 2 rounds, and now we get to sit and rest for the next two rounds because hey, the Bears took care of business.
I mean, and we still have 3 6-round picks where we can trade up into the 4th or 5th round if we wanted to.
Right, if we can snag a 4th rounder, I mean, because Bears still need to look at corner.
Yeah, and that's the biggest thing is that we still need defensive back help for sure. Like that is one of the big. And it's funny because that's the exact same situation Kansas City's in.
Yes,
where your biggest glaring need is defensive back right now.
Yeah, and they just keep drafting around. The Bears are not drafting around it technically. Kansas City is kind of for whatever, but I guess Kansas City just did not see who they wanted to see.
I just thought that was a funny parallel.
Yeah. I'm not going off into the Kansas City thing.
Yeah, and we'll get into that on next Tuesday.
Yes.
So definitely stay tuned for that. We will have a full draft synopsis about all this. There's a lot of stuff to talk about in the draft.
Yes.
And there's still stuff happening. I'm literally watching the draft as we're recording right now. So
what are we missing? Just as an update.
Vikings are up right now. Their pick is in. He's reading it, but
okay.
Yeah. That nothing major really that's happened in the 3rd round yet so far.
Okay.
Chaz Surratt, linebacker, North Carolina, goes to Minnesota.
Got it.
Yeah, but back to the Bears.
Yeah.
But yeah, this Tevin Jenkins thing is like, again, my whole philosophy for building a team: get a quarterback, protect yours, Tevin Jenkins, go after theirs. We already have our front 7 to absolutely light up anybody's offensive line in the league right now. So, man, I think that was a home run of a pick. Tevin Jenkins, I do have, obviously, tackles rated above him: Penei Sewell, Rashawn Slater, Elijah Vera Tucker. But he is up there. He was a part of my kind of like my second tier offensive lineman in this draft. So I definitely like the pick. I definitely, like I said, it fits a need, and we got him at fantastic value. I have our first round pick in Justin Fields graded as an A++++ grade right there, and then I have this as an A+ grade for this pick as well, because I mean this is a home run. Again, fits need, and you got fantastic value at this pick.
Absolutely. I won't even add anything to that. I agree with that 100%. Like it's best Bears draft ever. I'm just gonna say that. I'm thinking back. I don't even think I need to think hard. I'm like, why am I wasting my time? This is hands down the best draft the Bears organization, and it's not even done. It's
It's
just
not over.
we still have 4 more rounds, people. You know,
Watch us trade and get Tevin Morig from from Oakland. Get the best safety
oh
in the
yeah,
draft.
because Oakland's just holding it for us anyway. We just swapping players anyway. As our quasi farm system team over there.
Exactly. No.
So, oh man. Okay, with the cornerback thing.
Yeah.
I know they got low draft picks, so I'm sitting over here scribbling, trying to scramble, and I had to go round back and run back and look back at the free agency market as well. I know we're talking draft. This is almost
Yeah.
kind of taboo to even go there, but just based on the fact that I'm not exactly sure what they will find at 5 if they don't trade up, but of note that's of any type of impactful note for Chicago next year. That's why I went back and looking into the free agency. A few veteran cornerbacks out there that just could possibly maybe enticed to want to come over to Chicago now, and that's starting. I mean, there's Richard Sherman still sitting out there.
That was one of the ones that I was thinking about. I'm sitting there. I don't know if he wants to go back to a cold weather state.
Right.
In Chicago, it is a big city though. It is a real nice market to live in. Especially, I mean, you're right off Lakeshore Drive. You live in. I mean, you have to be up in what's it called? Where's the training facility at?
Oh man,
Is that Evanston? That's further north.
Nah, I'm drawing a blank because I'm thinking about the Bulls and they was in Deerfield.
Yeah,
Deerfield.
no,
So not there.
but I know it's up north. So
I know exactly. I
yeah.
don't. Yeah, up there.
Yeah, up there in Illinois.
Yeah, we're Bears fans still, people. Which is just too much.
We just live in Minnesota.
Information overload too. Just too much information going in.
No, but like you were saying, though, like in Richard Sherman, I don't know if he would want to come to another cold weather site. I know he was been in San Francisco for what 3 years now. But man, if you're looking at a bona fide, like just solid situation where you can come and plug and play, I don't even care that he doesn't really, he's not as fast as he used to be, or
don't need to be. But I think man, his veteran leadership would definitely go a long way.
And him just mentoring.
That's what I'm getting at. Like, man,
Jalen Johnson.
He's a coach on the field.
God.
That's what I'm saying. And I mean, I had a short list. He's the number 1 guy on my list.
I like that a lot.
Then we got a Josh Norman.
I
know some people are a little sour on him, but I'm talking about
it's an upgrade.
I'm saying, dude, can you find a rookie that's better than the guys I'm about to name? It's really what it come down to. If the answer is yes, let's have a conversation. If the answer is no, just take the list for what it is.
Yeah.
It's kind of one of those things. And the other one is Brashard Breeland from Kansas City.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, I don't. It wasn't around when Nagy was there, but bottom line is they both came from the same organization. There will be some commonalities. I don't think he will be hard to. Not that Matt Nagy is actually running the defense, but per se. But with that being, I don't know if it would be a hard transition for him. I think it would probably be more smoother than not. So, but that was my short list. Those the 3, I think, primed possibilities for Chicago post draft. If they don't, then they can go find a rookie. I don't have a problem with that, but I don't know if a rookie at the stage of where they're going to be picking is going to be week 1 ready.
And around that PFF. I mean, I'm looking at 130 and below. We're basically looking at Sean Wade out of Ohio State, Marco Wilson out of Florida, Syracuse, Trill Williams, Robert Rochelle from UCA, DJ Daniel from Georgia. I do like him. I did have him graded pretty high. I think 145 is kind of low, but neither here nor there. Got Kerry Vincent Jr. from LSU, Elijah Griffin from USC. Like,
did you say Sean Wade earlier?
Yeah, Sean Wade from Ohio State.
I don't think he'll be around about a 5th.
I don't. I'm saying 130 and below. Just in case. I mean, we've seen some weird stuff in the first round where a lot of guys with really good value started sliding, and I think that's going to continue later down the line. Just the way that the draft has been playing out so far.
Right.
because a lot of guys from like the third round talent went in it. Third round talent in my eyes went in the first round.
Okay.
So I'm just like, hey, anything can happen. The way that people are picking like freaking Raiders as they're up right now.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, continuing down the list, I mean, Cameron Bynum, Shakur Brown, Rodarius Williams, Israel, Muka, I can't say his name. Bryce Thompson, Zeke McPherson, Mark Gilbert, Duke, and then you're getting to some like 7th round talent: Antonio Phillips, Jason Pinnock.
You on the back end?
Yeah. Well, that's where we are. So,
right. Well, that's true.
Or and that's the other thing. I mean, we can go with these guys, or with you were talking about Sean Wade from Ohio State. We could try to trade up into the 4th round with our 6th round picks and try to get somebody there. And we also do have Carolina's 5th round pick, so we could try to trade up and get a 4th rounder and go get one of these guys. That, to me though, anybody that you're picking 4th round and below is a little bit of a project.
Right.
Whether it's a 1 year, 2 year thing, it's just like, hey,
that's what I'm getting
it's
at.
a little bit of a project.
It might be just a pick, and they might have to use it just as that, which is where.
So I like those guys a lot more.
That's what I was getting at. Like, you can get somebody in the draft, great, but you might end up needing to at least do your due diligence. There's quite a few free agent cornerbacks that's out there. I was just taking just some notable 3 that I was like, oh, I think these 3 can immediately impact, Chicago's team, day one.
Yeah.
But we shall see. But I think it was a note to say what the need is at this point. And I think I speak for all Bears fans when I say it is a relief to be able to finally live a day and live in a world where I can and we can and anyone can finally say the Bears do not need to address quarterback. No point in time in history can anyone have ever said that in regards to the Chicago Bears, and we are living in those times now.
Well, and the other thing is that it to me, I'm about to turn 23. In my 23 years worth of living, it is always any time that I go and start doing draft analysis, Chicago's number 1 need is freaking quarterback. Never in my life have I not seen quarterback on that list until now. Like, this is insane to me.
You want to know what this is? The equivalency of this is. This is right after the Battle of the Bastards on Game of Thrones, and we finally, after 5-6 seasons, finally got to see that wolf banner drop. And it was like, that was a championship banner moment. If they were ever, okay, you all know Game of Thrones. You know what I'm talking about. People look at me crazy.
Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert! No.
But yeah, it was that moment right there. It was a championship moment for us, and no championship was won. But for any Bears fan, this was a championship. Like
this. Like I said at the top of the show, I still don't know if this is real yet. Like, I don't know. Like, I feel like at some point I'm about to wake up and I'm gonna be honestly crying. Like, I just like.
All I'm saying is we started the whole free agency period with the surprise of the lifetime of, hey, there's a Deshaun Watson and a Russell Wilson, which, by the way, have named your team as a possible destination spot, and from the possibilities of a Deshaun Watson or recovering a Deshaun Watson 4 years later, as well as the possibility of a Russell Wilson just falling into Chicago's laps, and even whether that manifested or not, and it still morphed all the way to tonight and today, a Justin Fields, a prototype of these guys. I mean, for any Bears fan, it don't get much more exciting than this. Like, I mean, yeah, you want to talk about roller coaster? Oh my God!
It's been insane for me. And the funny thing is that the Bears aren't even your first team.
No,
like,
not at all.
Kansas City is your first team, and you are reveling in the fact that you have a championship. You are favorites to win a championship year in, year out for the last 4 years.
It's completely on the back burner right now.
Yeah,
like, not even that exciting. Like, that's fine. That'll take care of itself in September. We'll get back to that in September. That ain't going nowhere. That's taken care of. Over here, oh man, this is the stepchild that just was neglected and just
No,
keep missing
but
the
this has
school
been my
bus.
baby for so long.
And he keeps missing the school bus and he can't get there on time and he's still walking to school. And
Oh my God.
man,
Keep getting calls from
yes,
the principal.
exactly. I'm like, yeah, I'm a Bears fan, but I mean, yeah, they my number 2 team. But I mean, but man, we talk.
But
Okay,
I've been just sitting
I've
here
been waiting
watching
for
all
this.
this.
You
And
said
that,
23 years. I've been waiting 43. Well, not 43, but
yeah.
I mean, the Bears won the Super Bowl when I was 9. Take that
And
for
you
what it's
got to
worth.
see Jim McMahon. And that's another thing.
Yes.
ESPN, shut the hell up. It has not been 70 years since we've had a quarterback. Jim McMahon was the real freaking deal. And I am tired. And any other Bears fans, I feel like, and some Bears fans don't agree with me on this. And that actually honestly frustrates me because
What era are they from?
I don't even ask because I'm just like, you're not a real Bears fan because if you don't know how good Jim McMahon actually was, when I didn't even get to physically watch Jim McMahon, I have to go back and look at YouTube highlights, go watch that ESPN 30 for 30 on the 85 Beers and actually watch how he played. Jim McMahon was the real freaking deal. That dude was so good. Yes, he's not the greatest quarterback of all time, but that is, to me, a franchise quarterback that is unfortunately got hampered with injuries towards the end of his career.
You know who he was like minus the injuries? Because he just got injured a lot. But when he did play, and this is for real, and listeners, please challenge me on this. If you got something better, write in the comments, please. I'm asking and inviting you for this. He literally was like Steve Young. That's how good he was.
He was so good. I don't think people understand it because even with that season, the plays that he was making, the hits that he was taking, this is in the midst of the greatest defenses of all time are just teeing off on this dude. And nobody's really focused on him because we had Walter Payton and we had the greatest defense of all time. And nobody talks about Jim McMahon with the 85 Bears. And I'm like, and not even just the 85 Bears, 84, 86. He was so good. He was continuously, I know 84, I think, was the year that he was injured. 83 then. Like, he
played 9 games in 84.
Oh, yeah. So even half that season, he was playing fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, just quit with this just absolute blasphemy that Chicago hasn't had a quarterback in 70 years. The last quarterback that we had was Sid Luckman. Stop it. Just stop it. It is the most infuriating conversation that we have because, first of all, you're not real Bears fans. You're not telling the truth. And that also goes back to 2017 when we drafted Mitch Trubisky. You're not telling the real freaking story. Stop it. Right. It is completely infuriating because this team is not as broken an organization as they keep trying to make us out to be. Yes, we've made some bad choices over the last 20 years, 30 years, 40 years.
Yeah.
But every franchise has. Jacksonville is in shambles. New York Jets are in shambles. I mean, look at Atlanta right now. And I'll get into that on Tuesday. Atlanta is Cincinnati. The decision making right now is horrible.
No, let me get into the drought teams: Cleveland, Minnesota.
Yeah,
Arizona. I'm not saying this badly. It's just like, man, you listen to some of these sports talks talk about Chicago. You swear they're the worst franchise ever
of all time.
Hands down, for the last 50 years they did nothing. That's not true. You want something that's I'll give you a team that did nothing for 50 years in Chicago, and it wasn't the Bears, but the Cubs, at some point. So, again, it's kind of one of those, don't put your mouth on things you don't know what you're talking about. Sometimes some things are just meant for certain things. In this case, Chicago sports maybe need to be left to Chicago fans to talk about, because sometimes the outside views are so critical, so off base, so missing the mark.
Not even that. It's just because I feel like this is a strictly Chicago Bears issue, because I don't see that, because everybody, I do agree. Chicago Bulls, that is a freaking organization in shambles right now. The Nick Vucevic trade was nice and all that, and I'll get into that later.
But it's translating into wins.
Exactly. And so, like, yes, that was a nice first step, but you got a lot more to do.
Oh my God.
White Sox, you got a nice little farm system that you're starting to grow here, but you got a lot of work to freaking do.
And how long it took them to even get to this point of having that farm system.
Exactly, because we were in a real bad state, especially just 4 years ago when when the Cubs went out and won the World Series. Chicago was not anywhere near figuring that crap out.
No.
Let's not get that. It's a completely different situation. Chicago Blackhawks, that team has completely regressed since our dynasty kind of era back in the 2010s. Like
that San Antonio Spurs run.
Yeah, we completely regressed. I'm pretty sure we didn't make the playoffs this year. Like it's been in a real bad way for a little while, for the last few seasons. So again, we need to. And I feel like this is a strictly Chicago Bears issue where we're getting ragged on in a way that we'll give credit where it's due for the Bulls. We'll give credit where it's due for the White Sox or the Cubs or whoever else for at any time. We'll give credit. But when it comes to the Bears, no, they're just a doormat of the league. Like we just need somebody to talk crap about. Bears fans won't care. Let's go talk crap about them. Like, no, I'm gonna challenge you on that because you clearly don't know what you're talking about. You just have to say something to go get your clicks and whatnot, and you're just using us as the way to get that.
Right.
And it's very frustrating because I honestly feel like the Chicago Bears are not the worst run franchise in the NFL right now. Look, granted, we were talking about Deshaun Watson. Look at Houston right now.
Yeah. That franchise is a mess. And I'm oversimplifying. It's a complete mess right now. That's just one of many. I don't want to spend too much time on Houston at all. But Houston probably has the worst situation going into the season right now. I can't think of any team has a worse scenario right now than them.
It would have been Chicago if we didn't get a quarterback.
Even pre-draft. Yeah. I know what you're saying. I mean, but when you mount on the Deshaun Watson thing, that's just overwhelmingly.
It's horrible.
I'm sorry because if Deshaun Watson is there, fine, but then they still had a plethora of issues to deal with on the offensive end
and defensive end,
which I was getting to as well. But yeah, when you add him into the mix, I'm sorry, that by far is the worst situation right now. Now him coming back and things got whatever, it worked itself out and he's back, great. Not probably gonna happen. Doesn't seem like that's realistically gonna happen in the timetable before the start of the season. So, but there's a long summer. That remains to be seen. But as of right now, yeah, I still say that's the best. That's the worst situation that's going on right now in the league. So, I mean, we can still go down a list, team by team by team, and just still find a plethora of more teams. I mean, granted, hell, it's the Jets.
Atlanta.
Just to say the Jets, Atlanta. Cincinnati.
Yeah, until I see
Detroit.
Zach Wilson be this second coming of whoever we're trying to make him out to be, I'm not sold yet. I'm sorry. And again,
right.
I have Justin Fields as the number 2 quarterback in this draft, not Zach Wilson. I'm sorry.
And that's what I'm getting at. Zach Wilson could be the Mitchell Trubisky of the of this draft. Next year is gonna be interesting because it's gonna be a lot of things to look for and like, oh, well, that was a hit, that was a miss. That you're gonna see it because now that you got me over here researching all of this, I'm gonna be overly critical of these rookies. Now I'm like, I'm a rookie. I don't care.
It's funny, and it makes the NFL like fantasy does for people that don't play fantasy. That first year getting into it, it gives them a completely different way of watching it. The NFL when you start sports betting, it's a completely different way to watch the NFL. And then when you start doing the research on these rookies and these young guys, because it's funny because you'll be sitting there and you'll be like, oh yeah, I remember when that corner got drafted, gets burned by Jerry Jeudy or whoever it is.
Right. Then you remember back all the nonsense that they said about the player and whatever
draft
accolades.
Superlatives and all that stuff. And let's get at again.
Can we revisit that for some of these people?
What I talk up, and this is what I have an issue with is where with ESPN and all of these other draft outlets is basically there's no accountability. You can say whatever you want to say. If you're wrong, you miss on a lot of them. It happens. But if you're right, you're the genius of all geniuses, Mel Kiper. You this is the reason why you've been doing this for 17 years to get one thing right in the first round, one pick right. Come on.
Right.
It's frustrating. And again, it's just the lack of accountability with that, and that's also goes hand in hand with the way that these people talk about how Chicago. Because even in the 2018 season, when
Mm-hmm.
we got Khalil Mack
Mm-hmm.
going into that season, everybody was like, "Man, the Chicago, there's no way they're getting out of this division. There's nothing that they can possibly do to get over that hump." Even with the Khalil Mack trade, I don't see how this is going to fix their issues
Mm-hmm.
in this position, in that position, wherever it is. We come out there, we're playing good, we go on streaks, we barely lose to the Green Bay Packers in week 1. We come out, we have go on a run, this, that, the other. Everybody's talking crap still, and we're sitting there at 6-1 at one point.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, hey, we'll see if they can get through this murderous row. We knock off 2 of the 3 that are a part of the murderous row, and they're still like, well, they lost to them, and we really saw their cracks in the armor in this game and this, that. And I'm like, but what are we talking about here? Like, what are we doing? Why? It is the most negative media outlet that I've ever seen, and it only happens to Chicago, I feel.
It's like I told you, it's, for some reason or another, it's just they're the butt end of the joke of jokes for the NFL, and they're the whipping post. Like let's dump on these people, cause for their underachievements. I'm like, okay, we can do that. That's fair, but it was not fair. Is why are you targeting one team? And what is the fix? And not so much that I don't care,
Yeah.
whatever. But what is the fixation with Chicago? Like, I mean, man, I'm like, what? I mean, are we the threats to the point of let's just talk this team down and let's just be down on this team? Just let's hope this team never rises to anything, And like when they started out, what it was 5-0, or was it
Yeah,
four,
we were 5
five
and
and
0
zero?
this year.
Oh my
No, I
God.
think we were 4-0 because we didn't end up losing to Indianapolis.
Okay, 4-0, and no, just worst 4-0 start team ever to ever see. And I mean, I could have borderline understood where you were coming from, but I mean, people were going in so hard, like it was such a slam dunk and saying that, like, dude, okay, I can see there's some shredder levels and shredder truth in there based on okay, they kind of overachieving and I'm getting there, but they didn't take it like that. It was just this whole they had no business winning these games, this and that. What are you talking
And
about?
even with that, another thing that pissed me off last year is all of week 17. Oh, Chicago backdoored their way into into the playoffs. Yes, we ended up losing our game, but we're not going to talk about how badly Arizona came out and played in that game against the Rams,
No,
against
we
a
we
backup.
we have to preserve Kyler Murray's
Miss me with
because
that
you already
bull.
know they got to go super hard next year with this guy and his his next step to go forward. So they can't kill their own stories, and that's what we get into. Some of this crap that's out here, this news. Look, I like to think we try to give it to people straight. you know, okay, am I going to give you some of my opinion? Sure, but I'm letting you know this is my opinion. I'm letting
I always preface something where like this is gonna be biased. This is where I'm gonna
right,
say something biased here, and
and
this is what this entire show is about. By the way, I don't know if I prefaced it on this show. This is when I kicked it off. This
right,
is from a Chicago Bears fan perspective again.
right.
Like this is where I'm
Which is
putting
why
on
we're
my fan
doing
hat
a
today.
specific show on Chicago, which I know we should be able to speak freely. So I'm not going to be too many disclaimers in this one.
Yeah,
So, but I'm just going to say that for now, just in case we're losing some people and they're not understanding when they're going to move on. We're not doing a draft show tonight. That's next week. We're just talking about Chicago. We as you can
you
see,
will have a full draft
right.
analysis and synopsis on all 7 rounds on Wednesday. That is the day that will go out. You don't worry, you will get that soon. This is Sunday when this is going out, or Saturday. Hopefully, I can get it out tomorrow, but if not, it's going out on Sunday. And basically, this is just about Chicago, just about these first 2 rounds, and nothing else. All I wanted to do is fan out for a little bit.
I know I'm backtracking just a little bit,
Yeah.
but you hit a real sensitive spot when you brought up Jim McMahon and in this what's been going on. People, I'm finna give y'all some hardcore stats. And I'm gonna throw some numbers out there, and then I'm gonna have to talk about a few of them just to give people some perspective. And remember, I will start with this just to get it out the way because we always have to say this. We already know the game has changed.
Yes.
The game has evolved tremendously. With that being said, in his 7 years in Chicago, he played in 66 games and started in 61 of them. That's just for step one. His record was 46-15 as a starting quarterback. With that, also, he had a 57.8 completion rate. Doesn't sound horrible to me. And of course, this is probably where he gets his most flack. His yards. He had 11,203 yards. I'm sure people are looking like, oh my God, Drew Brees could get that in 2 years. And he did it in 7. Okay, there's this big pink elephant in the room that I want to tell everybody about Chicago back in the day. Jim McMahon wasn't the best player on the offensive side of the ball for his team. Not at all. There was this legendary Hall of Fame running back that you may never heard of called Walter Payton that played over there.
Talking about sweetness.
And my point being is, even if you could morph and get if you could find a freaking DeLorean and put Tom Brady in it and get him up to 88 miles and get him back to Chicago back in the day, Tom Brady will have 11,203 yards, just like Jim McMahon. Why? Because there was somebody called Walter Payton doing Walter Payton type magic, and which, again, arguably the best running back of all time. And we're talking about it during a time when running backs really meant something. Unfortunately, in this day and age, they're a dime a dozen at this point, but his numbers in his passing game is down only based on the fact of the personnel and how they ran the offense. They were a run-first offense that could not be stopped, and they were definitely damn near. Their defense was probably better than the offense, and the offense was stellar. And again, he threw at 57, nearly 58% completion rate. It ain't about just the sheer numbers, because we're looking at today's numbers. Oh my God, people get nearly 6,000 yards,
4,000. But also, 60% is what you look for in a quarterback nowadays. You're telling me that in a time where passing wasn't the number one option, he was literally on pace for that?
Yeah, 67 touchdowns. Granted, to his 56 interceptions. Interceptions were higher back in the day.
Yeah.
They just were. It's just the way the game was played. But granted, and I'm only because I know I'm speaking to metrics and statistics of today, and I'm trying to get people to. You're gonna have to come up off of that a little bit. We're not playing the game the same way.
To me, it's not even about the numbers from Jim McMahon. The way that he carried himself on the field, this dude was calling out the commissioner in the middle of games. Like,
to check out his QB rate, 80.4.
Thank you.
Oh, he was. They had Sid Luckman, and that was a bit. Really, we just skipped over the whole Super Bowl Bears team, like as if the offense, like they. First of all, okay, Bears fans know this. I'm not speaking to Bears fans. I'm not speaking to anybody who even historically followed the NFL. First of all, Chicago was the Bears team was not carried by the defense. They weren't even led by the defense. The defense was just that stellar to the point they just added on to the successes of Chicago. Chicago was stellar on both sides of the ball.
Yeah.
And that's just something. The defense was so grand, it almost made it look like the offense was average, and the offense wasn't average at all.
No.
So, and Jim McMahon has been the butt end of this misconception for what, 30-something years now. I'm like, to the point where we still talking about Sid. Who the hell is Sid Luckman? I wasn't alive in 1952. I'm just putting that out there, and I'm saying that to say, what's that?
Sorry, the draft is still going on.
What did we just have?
Minnesota just got a steal in the third round. They got Wyatt Davis, guard from Ohio State.
Interesting.
That's a steal. I like that pick.
Okay, all right, we going to it.
And that's how unbiased I am as an NFL fan. I just said Minnesota got a great pick.
He did a Minnesota plug in the middle of my Jim McMahon soliloquy over here.
Sorry,
but hey, I'm going in real hard about his quarterback rating. But with that being said, I'm just making a point that his numbers, Yeah, he was a good quarterback, but he was more than a good. He was a very good quarterback.
Yeah.
Y'all want to talk about he wasn't great. Well, hell, I could give you 1,000 names that wasn't great, but I can only give you a few that was very good.
Yeah.
And I'm like, he was damn show way better than a game manager. Okay, he wasn't Joe Montana and he wasn't Dan Marino and John Elway and Tom freaking Brady. Who is?
Exactly.
That's
That's my
not.
thing. Is like everybody's talking about how and stop trying to compare people across eras. Let's stop trying to make this a greatest of all time conversation. Stop doing that.
Mm-hmm.
Let's take it for what it is. Jim McMahon was great. He was a leader. He was able to command the locker room, and he led one of the better offenses in the league to playoff appearance after playoff appearance to playoff appearance. He
Right.
kept doing it. Even with all the injuries, he kept doing it. So let's stop defaming his name, even though he talked out of the side of his mouth recently. Even with that, I still respect him as a Bears quarterback. This man deserves to be up there as, if not number one, number two greatest uh, greatest Bears quarterback of all time.
You want to put? I mean, yeah, we know who the 1 and 2 is. Anything after that, but the fact that he's always left out, they keep skipping over like, dude, I can't even respect you to even have a conversation about sports if you're gonna leave this man's name out of it.
Yeah.
Because you just can't. It's almost like saying, I think the Bears Super Bowl was good, but I really just can't give any credit to the offense whatsoever. I just can't because defense. Seriously, Walter Payton, people. Nothing else needs to be said. I mean, that's like saying Michael Jordan. It's just that synonymous with Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
So let's just stop it. So I just want to throw that just a few little numbers out there. I'm not even getting into the eye test and stuff like that. I don't even need to talk about how elusive this guy was. And he wasn't a small guy. He was very powerful. He was very athletic.
He was physical.
Yeah,
he demanded respect
which
because
is
he was
why
going
he
to
was
hit
injured
you.
all the time. Because he would, he initiate the contact. I mean,
he got that from what's the safety's name? The one who's the GM of the 49ers now.
Lynch.
Yeah, John Lynch. He even with that 30 for 30, he talked about it how he respected him because even when John Lynch was coming and literally just all he did was run straight down the field and hit him right in that hole. That's what he was. He was a run stopping safety, and even with that, when they were in practice, they would hit each other, and he'd be like, "Man, he could lay a hit on you. He could put you out for a week or two." Like this dude, he had power, and he didn't care that hey, I can't throw it 50 yards down the field, which he could.
Right.
He didn't have to. He could just hit you and make you feel it and make you not want to play football against him.
Right. So we digress. But I just wanted that's all I was going to say about Jim McMahon. I mean, we can always have do that whole segment about best Bears quarterbacks of all time. And if we ever did it, trust me, Jim McMahon will be a big piece about that. And some of you and all you haters out there can just hate on that because bottom line, you can't rewrite history. It's already done. It's in the books. If you don't believe me, look it up. And go back to the 85, 86, 84, 83 Bears. Watch him. He's out there. He's been there. So say what you want to say. Just all the naysayers. I just want to move on. It's just like the bottom line is Jim McMahon was the real deal.
Yeah. But we got our guy.
Yes, we do.
We got Justin Fields.
And now we back full circle to Justin Fields. Now we got our third best guy, possibly potentially. If,
potentially might be the number one.
And that's what I'm getting at. We just don't know. But how it's projectedly looking right now is looking very good for us. And I'm the optimism is back, is running. And right now, as it stands, the Bears are in a way better position than where they ended at the end of the year. And what are we? We were plus Justin Fields minus Kyle Fuller.
Yeah,
I can live with that. I'm just. We're a much better team. You could say, well, we lost something on the defensive end. Okay, great.
We did.
We gained something so much more on the offensive end.
It was so much as a team as a whole. Quarterback is so valuable to have, and the fact that we have one now, it just.
And to go with that second round pick to put together that, home run. I A+ Chicago Bears. A+. You know.
It was. I think that was a steal of the draft. The fact that he fell to 11 is insane to me. First off, but two, just the insanity that Chicago was able to figure out a way to not have to give up the farm to go get up to that spot and go get this guy and to make the right freaking decision for once, man.
Mm-hmm.
It just, man, I'm at a loss for words. And I put out a tweet yesterday. I was like, I have no words. All I can say is we have a freaking quarterback. Like that's all I can say. This dude is so good. And again, he is the second best quarterback in this draft. And we got him at 11. Just the value for those picks is insane.
Yes. I'm sorry. I'm looking at some stats.
No, it's fine. I mean,
looking back at this Patrick Mahomes thing, like Patrick Mahomes went 10. We were talking about it off air yesterday. And he got that pick from Buffalo.
Yeah, I remember there was a trade that happened, and they went.
What I didn't remember, which is the most weirdest thing, for whatever reason, I thought Deshaun Watson got drafted before Mahomes, and he didn't.
No, I know one went Deshaun Watson went 11, didn't he?
He went 12. I thought he went 7. Don't ask me why. Because
Houston should have been
7
that bad.
was just in my head for some reason. I just had this thought like, okay, they missed, and for some reason, then a few picks later, somebody got it right and got him. No, Patrick Mahomes, man, I'm talking about the jump was much more significant than what I thought. Like he jumped, Mahomes actually got drafted before him.
Yeah.
That's interesting. So I mean, is it fair to say that this is crazy? I'm gonna say this. Kansas City missed on Deshaun Watson. I know that sounds crazy.
I mean,
he missed on Deshaun Watson by moving up to get Patrick Mahomes. How dare you?
How dare you?
Oh my God, that's the worst. That's the perfect scenario to ever have in the history of football. You there was no wrong answer.
Yeah, you get to be happy with your team.
It only been wrong had Deshaun Watson went to Kansas City and then started, and then this situation would have happened in Kansas City, but that has not happened.
No.
So, moving on. I'm not going to speak to that.
Yeah.
We'll move on.
I can only say it so many times. We have a quarterback. We got it done. We did the right thing, and then we did it twice, and we went to go protect him. And I think that this, again, round of applause for Matt Nagy. Round of applause for Ryan Pace. This front office did the right thing. They killed it. And even if we don't have another pick for the rest of this draft,
let's call it what they did. They earned their paychecks finally.
Yeah,
because I think they was getting paid to really just muck it up for a lot around here, and then give a couple of press conferences and give us some BS about what they were doing. And that just wasn't. I want to commend the fan base to keep the pressure on these guys, because I think it was almost civil unrest. Like literally, like we've had enough as a Bears fans. Like, we're freaking Bears. Okay?
I've been pissed for 2 years.
We are a storied franchise, and our results do not speak to a storied franchise. I'm like, there has been extreme neglect with this franchise over the years.
Yeah,
and a lot of rights have been wrong. A lot of wrongs.
Rights have been wrong. That's how it's been for a long time.
A lot of rights have been wrong, but a lot of wrongs have been righted in the last 24 hours. Literally.
Man. It's
a new day in Chicago. That's all I'm saying.
I can't even imagine like what's going on in Chicago right now. Like they oh my goodness. Everything.
I wouldn't be surprised they were looting right now. Just
rioting.
I'm like, yeah, rioting and looting. Just what happened? It's almost like a championship.
But I mean, I think this honestly will lead to one, because again, even though everybody keeps saying how bad of a situation Chicago is, no, we have a team. We've had a team for so long. We just needed to figure out the quarterback position to put it all together. And if we can develop Justin Fields just any sort of a good pace and get him ready to play this year, and he comes out here and does anything, just give me 20% better than what Mitch Trubisky was to start, and continue to develop from there. Just do that, and we will be just fine.
Right.
But I feel like this, and this goes back to what's happening before the draft even started. If Aaron Rodgers is out of this division, I don't see what's stopping Chicago from having this division on lock for 10 to 15 years.
What you mean, Jared Goff? No, I'm kidding.
Again, I said I don't see what's stopping them.
Jared Goff and the Detroit Lions. What do you mean? Oh, man.
I would say Detroit probably, if they can figure it out over the next 2-3 drafts, they'll be the number 2 team.
Boy, that was a loaded statement if I ain't ever heard one. That word if.
If
is all I've seen my whole lifetime. I will say,
once we get into the conversation about the whole draft next week, I do have something about the Detroit Lions that I think is going to be a fun conversation. So let's call it here, actually.
It's always fun when it's about them.
Yeah, no, we've had a few good conversations about the Detroit Lions.
That's my whipping post team.
Yeah.
So y'all know.
No, so let's call it here. I mean, we've said what we've had to say time and time again, over and over again.
Protested Jim McMahon.
Yeah.
I felt I'm vindicated now.
We got a freaking quarterback, guys. If you're a Bears fan, please leave in the comments down below. Tell me how much you do agree with me on this, because this is an insane pick.
And for y'all that's still, jury's still out, tell us why you don't agree.
And I'll tell you why you're wrong.
Immediately.
I'll be watching those comments. No. So please just leave a comment down below. Let us know what you're thinking here. Again, please like, rate, subscribe, and please share the podcast. We want to grow again. We want to be getting larger and larger every day, growing a community of sports fans. Man, how many picks do the Minnesota Vikings have? Jesus Christ. They keep coming back up.
But, I mean, half of them probably not going to stay. And let's close out.
Yeah, sorry.
I'm sorry. We're still looking at draft coverage here.
We still have, this is our jobs. We still have to do this. No, but yeah, please share the podcast. We want to grow a community of sports fans to continue to have just a safe space where we can come and have fantastic conversations just like this every single day. So please, again, like, rate, and subscribe. Leave a comment down below. And we'll catch you guys in the next one.
Yes, have a good night, and we'll talk to you later.